Hi, friends. All right. Welcome to the Right Way Week. We are just getting started. I just need to make sure my T's are crossed, my I's are dotted, and we will get started. All right. Hello, hello. Everyone's coming in. Okay. There is a Q&A box, and there's also a chat. Both should be enabled, but if this is not your first webinar with me, you probably know that half the time I don't know actually how to do that. So one of them will be open, if not both of them. You can put any questions you have in there. I will be sure to address any questions and any chats, any feedback. I'd love to hear how things are resonating for you. If you agree with things, if you have questions on things, please put them in there. And let me make sure I have the right mic on. I do. All right, my friends, welcome to Right Way Week. I am Melissa Ike. If you're new to me, I am from the Sioux Falls area. I live outside of T, actually, on a little acreage. And I'm originally a registered nurse, and I have turned into a women's functional health and mindset coach. And I moved from nursing into coaching. It was a journey, as many of you know, into entrepreneurship. It wasn't a big leap. It was tiny little steps every step of the way. But originally I set out many years ago to become the healthiest version of myself because my mother passed away from breast cancer. It'll be 12 years here next month. And I knew that I was not going to just let this happen and be something that happened to me. It was going to be something that happened for me. And so I knew if genetics weren't on my side, that I had to take the steps to make myself the healthiest version that I could be, so I could be here with my children. And that my children wouldn't have to live most of their life without me, like I have to live most of my life without my mom. And so that got me into health and into fitness. And soon people started to notice and asked for me for help. And so the asking for help was just sort of evolved over the years, and it's turned into a full-fledged coaching business where I not only coach around mindset, but I also coach around women's hormones and the dieting concept, and really being able to fully live into a body that feels like yours and a body that you can be confident in and that you can really fulfill your life with instead of always hiding behind your body. And so that is what I'm all about here. I'm also the host of my podcast, which is Mindfully Well with Mel, and also the creator of my program, Mindfully Well. And I have 3 kids. We live out here on an acreage outside of T. We have many chickens, we have alpacas, we have goats, we have dogs, we have cats. We've got all of the critters. And I am very blessed to be out here on this beautiful piece of land. And then my mission with my business, Melissa Ike Coaching, is to make sure that I'm always in integrity and completely honest with you. I know that you don't always get honest information or information that you deserve to have. And I'm always willing to tell you what that is, whether that's the cold, hard truth or whether that's giving you some compassion and showing you how to love yourself. I'm always connecting with my clients. I want connection to be a part of my business as well as embodiment. So that just means that what I do and say over here on this other side of the camera to tell you to do, I'm doing on the other side as well. I don't give my clients a protocol, a program, anything that I am not willing to do myself. And so you can always trust that I embody the lifestyle that I teach you. So the next 3 days, I'm going to teach you how to lose weight the right way. Now, everything in the next 3 days will not be just weight loss related. It will also be nutrition related. It will be stress related, and it will be mindset related. Because I believe in order for us to lose weight and keep it off, in order for us to gain energy and continue to have energy, in order for us to manage our stress, and to have that lifelong stress management, we have to have all of it. We have to do everything the right way instead of doing things the way a so-called diet would have you do it, right? So the next 3 days, we will meet at 12 o'clock. We will wrap things up at 1 o'clock. Replays will always be sent out. So if you can't make it to a live call, you will always have that replay. You can also listen to podcasts, which those instructions have been in your emails. And then you will have access to the replays until January 19th. I do give you a time limit because guess what? I know that the free stuff is easy to just let it sit there and collect dust. And that's not the point of this. The point of this is for you to get the information, to consume it, and then to go out and to change your life. That is the point. And if I can give you a timeline, I know you're more likely to listen to it, and you're more likely to create the action that you need to actually change your health and change your body and change your life. So today we're talking about from dreaming to doing, right? Instead of continuing to talk about the weight we're going to lose, we're actually going to be losing the weight. And I'm going to tell you about how I approach this in the healthiest way. Tomorrow we're talking about resistance to resilience, and it's going to be a very high level focus around stress and hormones tomorrow. And then day 3, we're talking about from willpower to empower. So what I want to know first is if you're here live and if you're listening to the replay, is if you are, let me pull up my participant list. There we go. Okay. If you are here live, I would love to hear, what do you want? Right? Like, why are you here? What do you want? Tell me in the comments. And then if you are listening to the replay, make sure and reply to my email. I'm just on the other side. It's just me. And tell me, what do you really want, right? I would love to know what you're hoping to learn, for one, but also I want you to see that what you think you want and what you really want are two different things. For example, many of you are here because you want to lose weight, right? Jessie just said she wants weight loss sustainably. She wants to be able to sustain her weight loss, right? And not just do a quick little diet. But when we say we want weight loss, what we actually want is the feeling of weight loss. Nobody actually wants to have the number on the scale, right? Because let's say you stepped on the scale tomorrow morning and the number was there, but you still felt the way you do. You wouldn't want that. You want to actually feel the feeling of weight loss and to be able to keep it off. Yes, lots of comments coming in about that. You want the confidence that you would have from the result of a weight loss. You want trust in yourself that you do what you said you're going to do. You want clarity, right? You want the brain fog to be lifted. You want to know what you should be doing, and you want to have clear answers, and you don't want it to be complex and to be jumping through hoops and over and over and over again, right? You want energy, you want ease, and you ultimately want joy. Because when you have joy, you also have all of these things. Joy is, when we think about the feelings and the emotions that we have as humans have, joy is all the way up here. It's a part of self-actualization. It's part of who we want to be. And so bringing in those feelings of joy is truly what you want, right? And also to ask yourself, what do you want and what are you willing to do and not do to really achieve this? Because, sorry, I got to move my slider over. Okay. What are you willing to do and not do to achieve this? Because what you really need is you need standards. And this is why you have really gotten on the hamster wheel of life and health and work. And it's why you feel the way you do, because your standards for yourself aren't there. And that's really from a lack of failures over and over again and making it mean something about yourself. It's a lack of respect that you have for yourself. When you don't have standards, you are willing yourself to everyone else to tell you what to do. And it's also why you're chronically stressed and overwhelmed. So what are you willing to do and not do to achieve what you want? Make sure and tell me in the comments. And I'll also be setting this replay and asking you an email to respond back to me. And anyone who responds back to me in email form, because I can't quite keep track of all the comments and know who they come from. But I have two gifts I'm giving out this week. It's a journal with a cute box, and inside it has a beautiful mug and some tea and some other things, I think. And they're actually the gifts that I used to give out for my one-on-one clients, but I don't do just one-on-one coaching anymore. So now I have these gifts hanging out, and I'm going to give them to you. So I have two gifts I'm giving out today and then tomorrow. So, let's see here. So I've created the Right Way series, this Right Way week, as a way to undiet. Many of you were taught how to eat less and how to move more, but you were never actually taught how to eat as an adult woman. And this is why you feel confused about what to do. It's why your body is in a constant state of being undernourished, but also overcaloried. It's because you haven't actually addressed the lifestyle that you actually need and want. Because in the past, the dieting, the only focus has been weight loss. It's the only measurement of success. And the measurement of success is the number on the scale. But like I just said, what we really want is not the number on the scale, it's the feeling. Right? The number on the scale is the least interesting and least important thing about your health and your progress. It really is about how you feel, but you're likely here because you don't feel like you think you should. There's something I want you to remember throughout all of the next 3 days together, and it's that your body wasn't made to diet at all, ever. Your body and your brain, they just want you to be alive. That's it. So it's going to use all of its protective tools to do just that. And when you've dieted on and off most of your life, your body is in an all-time protection mode. It doesn't feel safe. And a body that doesn't feel safe doesn't lose weight. It will either gain weight or it will hold on to what it currently has. Because body fat is a very precious resource. And what you end up in is weight loss resistance. Now, does food matter? Yes, it absolutely does. I'm a nutrition coach, right? And I'm more than that, because if it was just about food, you would have actually done it already. You would have figured it out. You wouldn't be confused. You wouldn't start and then stop. It's about undieting and living a healthy life by building it with your habits from the ground up, slowly. Right? It's not about adding 25 new things in and then expecting perfection and then quitting, because that's the how, the 25 new habits that you think you must have in order to lose weight, right? That's the how. While the how does count, it doesn't count as much as you probably think it does. You've been told to put all of your focus into a how. That's exactly what a diet is. But today I want you to start thinking differently, because it's not about the how. It's not about the checklist. It's not about having all the discipline. It's not about all the willpower. It's about who. Who do you want to be and how do you become her? The women I work with are driven and they're ambitious and they're high achieving. You, right? You get shit done. But you're also tired, you're stressed out, you're not sleeping well, and you're simply burned out. On top of that, you've been trying to eat less and lose weight most of your life. You've always believed that your body is a problem and it needs fixing. But nothing needs to be fixed because it's not broken. When you believe your body is broken, how do you treat it? You treat it with a really large calorie deficit. You treat it with more cardio, less sleep, more trash talk, more it's not enoughness. Following a cookie cutter plan. Somebody please just give me the exact answer. You freak out and you micromanage every little ounce on the scale. And when you do those things, what is your result? You get really tired. You can't keep going like this. You give up. You don't get a result. And then you decide to start over when you regain energy. You never actually establish a life. You don't have a relationship you love with food with your body and with yourself. The number one relationship you will ever have in your life is with yourself. It's the longest one. You may as well love it. When something was built for temporary weight loss and not lifelong success and health, you don't end up with the life or the results you think you'll get. Think about the energy behind dieting in your past. Think about the feelings you have. Think about the actions you took. It's always coming from fear. Fear that you'll always be this way. Fear for your health. Fear that you can't change and you'll always be like this. Fear that you have to be perfect and there's no room for error. Fear that you're not in control over your body. And fear that you wouldn't have enough time, and fear that you'll never actually get it done. Taking action from fear, self-loathing, or disgust, which is a lot of the words I hear when I talk to you, it will never get you the result that you want. Now think about the opposite feeling of fear. It's safety, it's self-love, and it's compassion. When you think about the energy behind safety in your body, you're going to hear me talk a lot about safety because safety is the answer your body is looking for. When you think about the energy behind safety and self-love, like unconditional self-love, you just downright love yourself. There's no arguing about it. The feeling of safety and self-love and the actions of safety and self-love, how different does your result look? Because it looks like patience. It looks like commitment. It looks like feeling calm and approaching it in a calm way. It looks like consistency and not perfection, because I know you confuse those two, and we're going to continue to talk about this. It looks like forgiveness. It looks like failing and getting back up. It looks like being willing to fail in order to learn what you need to learn. It looks like not needing the feeling of control because you actually are in control, right? If you were in control of yourself, you wouldn't be out there micromanaging absolutely everything in your life that I know that you're doing. And that's why you're stressed and overwhelmed. And it ultimately would look like seeing it all the way through instead of being so exhausted and quitting. These actions and these feelings, they actually don't generate without you. They don't magically appear. They come from you and your own thoughts. They come from your mind. You produce them. They also come from beliefs, which are actually just thoughts that are automatic at this point. There's many things that we don't know about our mind, but there is one we do know, and it's that your mind is very capable of changing. It's like the muscles on your body. The more you intentionally use it, the stronger it becomes. The more you practice intentional thoughts, the more it becomes a habit. And the more intentional thoughts you have, the more intentional feelings you'll have, and that will create the results you actually want, intentional results. So if we know that your result is actually your thought, we know we can change your results. We know we don't have to keep starting and stopping over and over again. We know we don't have to over-restrict only to binge on the weekends because we're exhausted. We know we don't have to work out until we crash only to wait 3 months to start over. And we know we don't have to wait for a Monday or the first of a month or January, unless it's this case. January is today, right? It's the only time. You would know that you can change your life by simply making the next best decision. And when you're in my coaching programs, you hear me say this word over and over again. 3 words, the next best decision, the next best. It's 4. You know what I get. And so you would realize that one slip up does not mean anything about you and your progress. It means that actually you're doing exactly what you need to be doing, which is failing and learning and doing it again. You would always have your back and be confident in your decisions. You would be the woman who does what she said she would do. but in a loving and a disciplined and a compassionate way. You would ultimately be the woman you want to be. You'd already be in your future, the healthy, happy, joyful version of you. That's what you want. You think you want weight loss. And yes, we can want weight loss. We can want our body to feel differently, and we can love ourselves at the same time. What you want is that feeling of you have when you lose weight. So ask yourself, what is the feeling you're looking for? Put it in the comments. Is it freedom? Is it confidence, happiness, success, ease, clarity, autonomy, an attraction for the things you actually desire? To show your kids that they don't have to do this. They don't have to hate their bodies in order to change. Self-trust, appreciation for yourself, right? So many times we look towards other people to show us a way to appreciate us. We want to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to be validated. But so many times we're not doing that ourselves. And then we expect other people to do it for us. That's not how it works. You are a complex, beautiful woman, which means that you need a process that fits your needs. And you should not adjust your life to fit inside a diet box. You need to raise your standards to what you believe you need to succeed in this area of your life. You need to elevate the standards you have for yourself. You deserve a method that measures up to who you are as a woman. And you do not need to shove yourself into another diet box because your answer isn't there. All right, let me look at what you guys are putting in here. Peace and comfort, happiness, confidence, self-love, control over my eating, not stressing over it, confidence and self-love, lots of confidence, health and pride in myself, self-confidence, control over my eating habits. So one of my favorite questions to ask when somebody says that they want confidence, self-confidence, I want you to go deeper than that because confidence can mean so many different things. I want you to know, what would you actually be doing differently if you were confident than what you're doing right now? Right? We want to paint that picture for ourselves because our mind, our subconscious mind, is constantly scanning our environment for truths and for certainty and for safety. And when you can tell your brain, this is what we would be doing differently if we were confident, your brain will start to look for that. And when you start to do those things, your brain will say, hey, look at you. You're doing the thing. You're actually doing the thing that you said you would do. And then you have those feelings that you want. Then you recognize, I do feel confident. I do feel different because the changes we make in Mindfully Well, when you're in my programs, the changes we make are small and they're incremental. They add up to big, humongous, wonderful, beautiful things, but they are small. And our minds will just poo-poo every little wonderful thing we've been doing until we bring it to the attention of our mind. And that's how we prevent ourselves from sabotaging ourselves, right? We're going to get into sabotage on day 3. But one of the reasons why you aren't able to keep your weight off, why it hasn't been sustainable for you in the past, is because you have this underlying tendency to sabotage yourself. Okay, so you have to work with your mind here. All right. Let's see here. Excuse me. So let's start with pillar number 1. We're going to do 3 pillars today when it comes to sustainable weight loss. And the first one is eating. Like, duh, right? We got to change what we're eating in order to make the changes that we want in our body. So with eating, there's 3 things that you need to keep in mind. And I'm going to break this down to be very doable for you because your food take is just that. It just has to be doable. It can be very simple. There's no point in complexity because complexity doesn't actually give you a better result. How many of you have done a program where you were counting net carbohydrates and one day it was like 200 and the next day it was 100 and then it's over here and then it's over there and then you get confused and then you decide to do nothing, right? It does. I absolutely believe that it does not need to be complex. Now, do we need to go a little more nitty gritty on what we're actually putting in our body? We sure do. I'm going to go there, but it doesn't need to be complex. Okay. We also don't have to omit anything or go all in on one food group, right? We don't need to do keto. We don't need to cut out all carbs and consume mostly fats. We can eat all the macronutrients, all the proteins, all the carbs, all the fats, but they need to be one thing, and they need to be whole foods most of the time. And I'm not going to change my mind on this, because if you want to lose weight and you're struggling to do this, you must move to whole foods and stop with the Franken foods and stop with the over processed foods, the highly processed foods. Now, there's a difference between processed and highly processed, right? Because if we're being honest, there's a lot of whole foods that are wonderful that have been processed to make it a different type of whole food, right? So peanuts, for example, peanuts made into peanut butter when it's just the ingredients are just peanuts, like that's fine. That's wonderful. It's a whole food. You should definitely eat that unless you're allergic to it. Don't eat foods. The only time I take foods out is if the food is actually harming you. And that would be an allergy, right? But it would also be a sensitivity, which is something that I definitely go into in Mindfully Well, because many of my highly stressed women are becoming more sensitive to foods. So there's things that we have to do where if the food is actually harming you, we got to make some changes, right? But other than that, we don't need to cut anything out, right? So what are whole foods? Foods that are as unprocessed as they possibly can be. Now, the whole foods I'm talking about that are highly processed versus processed are when you look at the label on the food, that it's really just the food in there, right? It's the one thing in there that you recognize, you know what that food is. Now, we know there's many times when we look at a food label and there's like 14 things listed and you recognize maybe 5 ingredients, but the rest of them are weird chemical names and you don't know what they are. If you cannot buy that thing to make that food item yourself in your kitchen, if you wanted to, right? I know a lot of you don't want to. I don't want to go out and make my own crackers, but if you wanted to, you could, then that's fine. I would consider that a mostly whole food, like slightly processed food. But if you can't go out and buy this ingredient on there that you can't pronounce and you have no idea what it is, it's probably something you should leave on the shelf. Take, for example, chickpea pasta. It's made of chickpeas, right? It's chickpeas ground down, dried out, and made into a pasta. It's technically processed. But there's a difference between that and then when you go to mac and cheese, like Kraft mac and cheese, right? Actually, they've cleaned theirs up quite a bit. But let's go to like the Velveeta one that has that pouch with this cheese that is actually at room temperature, which should be questioned, right? So you open that pouch, you look at those ingredients, and I mean, you don't know what those are, right? We can't make that at home and leave it out on the counter and expect it not to spoil, right? That's a red flag. That's a highly processed food. Also, like the example of a cracker. So I use like Simple Mills crackers because those, you look at that label of Simple Mills and it's like almonds and salt and maybe like one other and like some garlic or something. Like that's it. If I wanted to make those at home, I could. I just don't want to. But if I wanted to make a Ritz cracker or a Wheat Thins cracker, I look at that ingredient. There's like 13 ingredients on there, and most of them I don't know what they are. And so that would be a difference of highly processed versus the process and then the whole foods, right? So think about it I don't know, a line, whatever. You got whole foods, eat mostly these. You got whole foods made in slightly processed into another food like peanut butter. And then you have over here highly processed foods. The highly processed foods should be just in circumstances when you don't have access to whole foods. So that would be you're stuck in an airport and it's a small airport and it only has packaged foods. Okay. And you need to eat, right? That would be a circumstance in which those things would be something you got to do, right? You're at somebody's house for dinner. You didn't bring your own food and you're subject to what they made you, and they made you Ritz crackers. That is something that's something you have to do, right? But that's not all the time. When I'm talking about most of the time, I'm talking 90% of the time. I know everyone wants to love to do the 80-20 when it comes to staying on your plan and staying like focused and things like that. You are my people, okay? You are a busy woman and you are stressed out. and you got a lot on your plate and your body has a history of not responding well to weight loss. This is the thing you need to do. You need to cut out the frankenfoods. You need to stop making things taste like super palatable with a whole bunch of sugar, right? We have got to clean it up and it has to be whole foods. Whole foods will give you the accurate hunger and fullness cues that you actually need. So you can start eating to your metabolism capacity and potential versus shoving it down to the bottom of the ground where you can't lose weight, right? Because your metabolism sucks, because your hunger and fullness cues suck and you're not listening to them. And so you're either overeating calories and the wrong types of foods or under eating the right foods. You have to stick to mostly whole foods. And the wonderful thing about this is that it's completely simple. It's so simple, right? Yesterday I baked 4 chicken breasts. I have a bag of salad and I have some Primal Kitchen dressing, and that's it. Hold on. My dog just opened the door. And then I have some apples or oranges, or I have some bananas. It is so simple, right? Don't look for all the complexity when it comes to this, you guys. You have to stick to clean, whole food ingredients. Your body is too stressed out to handle that garbage out there. You must do this from a place of self-love. I know sometimes it takes more work, but does it really? Does it really when it's taking years off of your life? It's not saving you time if those foods take years off of your life or the quality of your life, right? I'm very passionate about this because I'm not going to change my mind. The other things, okay, sorry, I lost my spot. Okay. So, make your meals simple. You have to start putting foods in your body that your body can actually use. So many times we're trying to find ways to fuel our body that's quick and easy, but we end up feeling tired and sluggish. And that's because your body responds to the environment that you put it in, right? So let's look at your environment. What are the things that you are putting your body in a state of, right? It's not just your home, it's the things that you put in your body. Because your body will always do what it needs to do to keep you alive. Your body always has your back. The problem is that you think your body is the problem, when in fact, it's just responding to your environment. Remember, I talked about the feelings of fear versus the feeling of safety. Your brain and your body are always searching for safety. If it doesn't feel safe, it does not matter what you do. You will not lose weight. You will feel tired most of the time because your body doesn't feel safe. If you feel stressed most of the time, your body does not feel safe. So why is your body down-regulating your energy, which is why you're tired, makes you feel fatigued? And what does this have to do with your safety? Why would your body not feel safe, right? And likely it's because you've been dieting most of your life on and off. And that means you eat very little for a period of time, and then you quit, and then you proceed to overconsume the wrong things. And this sends the message to your body that A, there's not enough food here. B, there's a lot of food here with lots of calories, but not many nutrients. And then C, we don't know when we will have access to the foods we need again. Things aren't good out there. So what does it do? It slows down your metabolism to a point where it can sustain and hold and keep you alive there. Your metabolism, remember, is the rate at which your body uses energy. So if your metabolism is low due to eating less and constant dieting, it will only be normal to be fatigued because you're not creating the energy you need to be productive. You aren't able to incorporate movement. You're not able to get things done because your body is in an all-time effort to conserve energy because it does not trust the energy coming in based on the environment you put your body in, based on the little nutritious food you are consuming. Your body is restricting energy production and sending you messages that you are tired in an effort to keep you safe. This is just your beautiful body being conservative with energy, which according to the signals it's received, there isn't enough food here. And when there isn't, it will, and then when you do eat, it's going to be sure to store that food and use as little energy as it can throughout the day. And that's appropriate. That's how your body stays alive. It doesn't know that there's food in abundance everywhere. Think back to your ancestors and how they lived and how they thrived and how we got here today by conserving energy. Our bodies are not far off from our ancestors. Our body did not get the 2024 update. In fact, our bodies are very similar to how our bodies were hundreds and hundreds of years ago. We still carry that with us today. And yet the information we're providing our body is telling our bodies things aren't good here, right? Our ancestors didn't diet. They didn't have to diet because they moved their body and they fed their body. Second pillar, if you know me, you've heard this before, but we're talking about blood sugar, right? So blood sugar is very important when it comes to sustainable weight loss because it involves the hormone insulin. And we're going to talk really a lot about hormones tomorrow, but today we're going to talk just a little bit about hormones so that you understand that you must be in balance in order to lose weight. So what is blood sugar? Basically, when we eat, we absorb the sugar and the starch from that meal into our gut lining and then into our bloodstream. It's not just sugar that we're eating, right? So it's not just like a piece of candy that gets absorbed into your bloodstream. It's all carbohydrates, any carbohydrate, right? So your body senses the amount of glucose that is released from that carbohydrate, and then it shuttles out insulin, and that insulin will take that glucose and move it where it needs to be. And so it will make 3 stops. This is going to be real brief. You don't need to know all the science, but sometimes it helps to understand what's actually going on here. So it makes 3 stops. It stops in your muscle cells for immediate energy and use. And when those are full, then it goes to your liver for storage. And then when your liver is full, then it goes to your fat for energy storage. We thrive when we get a moderate amount of glucose. The problem is that we don't ever get a moderate amount of glucose. It's either a lot or it's like none. And we're trying to go keto, or we're trying to fast, or we're trying to abstain from foods, right? It's like watering a plant. So you can't water a plant too much or it'll die. You can't not water it. It will also die, right? So what's the problem if we don't eat the right amount of carbohydrates for our bodies? What actually happens? So first, your storage sites are too full, right? So your muscles can only take on so much, your liver can only take on so much, and then your body fat, it can take on an endless amount, right? We have seen this in many people. Your body just keeps growing and growing and growing. And this happens from a lack of quality movement, our muscles, right? Because our muscles are the first place that will use that sugar. Our meal timing, what time of day are we eating? And then the improper ratio of carbs to fiber, sugar, protein, and fat, right? So your carbs are carbohydrates made up of fiber and nutrients and sugar. Those are all bundled into one. And then we have fat, and then we have protein, right? Your protein and your fat are buffers for those carbohydrates. Okay, so when you eat the carbohydrate, your body is going to be releasing insulin, but it's always going to guesstimate on how much insulin it's going to need based on how much sugar has been absorbed into your bloodstream and also how quickly it's been absorbed. So I used this example for one of my clients earlier today. Whoops. We were talking about starchy carbohydrates, which is carbohydrates that have more sugar in them. She had a banana by herself, and bananas are great. You should definitely eat bananas. But when you just eat one banana, your banana gets absorbed very quickly because there's nothing there to buffer the absorption of that sugar. So that sugar gets absorbed very quickly. It gets shuttled into your bloodstream very quickly. And then you have this quick acting sugar spike. When your body senses that, it kind of starts to freak out because it's like, whoa, that was a lot really quick. I'm going to shove a whole bunch of insulin out to move that out into the cell to be used for energy. And so it does that. But because it had such a quick spike in sugar, it's also going to have a quick spike in insulin. And now it's going to take all that sugar out, and you're going to be left with a low amount of sugar. And when this happens, how does this feel for you? You have cravings. You have intense cravings later on in the day because your body needs immediate energy. It's all gone. All that sugar is out of your bloodstream. And the quickest way to get quick energy is through quick absorbing carbohydrates. So what do you find yourself doing again, right? Grabbing your kids' goldfish crackers, just mindlessly grabbing things throughout the kitchen, just trying to get a little bit of something. You notice that you have lots of sugar cravings, right? This is where it's coming from. Sugar cravings are coming from unstable blood sugar. You find yourself in the break room grabbing the brownies that somebody brought, right? And this is all put at the forefront of your mind, right? These cravings are up here. That's why they're so hard to deny, because your body knows that it works. It's like, we need sugar now because her blood sugar went low from eating an innocent banana, right? And now it's making you go out and search and find something to bring your blood sugar back up. And then you eat the quick absorbing carbohydrate, you feel better for a short amount of time, only to end up with the same thing happening over and over again. And I also want to bring up that cravings will come from your gut microbiome as well. So the bacteria in your stomach, this can be a sign of an overgrowth of bad bacteria. And these little smart little buggers will send you lots of cues to be eating those sugars. And this time of year, we all know that we've just been consuming a whole lot of sugar over the holidays. And so now your body is like, whoa, where'd all the sugar go? Like, these bad bacteria need sugar to live. We're going to send you lots of cues for these sugar cravings to continue to eat those. And so you're going to get lots of those cues, especially right now when a lot of people are trying to cut back on sugar. It can be uncomfortable, and that's why it's uncomfortable. It's also a classic reason for your 2 to 4 p.m. slump. Many of you are feeling very tired in the afternoon. Why? And it's because you have underate, usually most of the morning, and then you ate an unbalanced lunch, and then your blood sugar is unstable for the rest of the day. And then that's why you wake up with a very poor appetite and you consume most of the calories in the evening when you get home. It's because of blood sugar instability. It's also because of emotional and mental resiliency too, but it's because of blood sugar instability and why you have those cravings and why you feel like you must eat while you cook dinner, right? You've underconsumed so much earlier on in the day, and now you're consuming most of your calories later on in the day. So how do you actually do this? How do you actually balance your meal? So remember, carbs come in two different forms. They come in non-starchy and they come in starchy. The only difference is that starchy carbohydrates will have more sugar and more carbohydrate. Non-starchy will have less sugar, less carbohydrate, and more fiber, more nutrients. These are just your vegetables, right? So it's easy to think vegetables and then other carbohydrates. This would be like your breads, your pastas, your fruits, your baked goods, legumes, things like that will be your starchier carbohydrates. If you look at the label, it would be usually the majority of the macronutrient profile would be in there would be mostly carbohydrate. It would have some sugars in it. That's how you know it's starchy. Okay. So you have your starchy carbohydrates, and you want to make sure that you always have that starchy carbohydrate with your fats and your proteins and your vegetables. That's it. That's how simple it can be. So when you are making your plates or you're making your snack, I want you to always think, where's my protein? Okay, protein for my clients is always a moderate protein intake. The reason is because when we are losing weight, we have got to keep muscle in your body. We have got to keep your metabolism up, and protein is very satiating, right? It makes the longevity of your meal. And it has all the amino acids that we also need for our muscles. And so we want a moderate amount of protein, because too much protein is unnecessary. Too little protein is also not good. It's detrimental to your muscle. And then we want to have fat. And then we want to have our veggies for our fiber and our high nutrient density meal. And then we add in our starchy carbohydrates. We don't cut out carbohydrates. We eat them in a balanced way so that we have balanced blood sugar. The other thing is, don't start your meal with your starchy carbohydrate, right? So if you're sitting down and you're going to have a salad, like I had a salad for lunch today, I had chicken, I had mixed greens, I had a cucumber, I had some tomatoes, and I had some walnuts, and then I had some olive oil dressing. I ate that. I normally would have followed up with a piece of fruit, but I just ran out of time. But I wouldn't have started that meal with my piece of fruit and then ate my salad, because that fruit is going to be absorbed very quickly in my stomach. and it doesn't have the veggies and the protein and the fiber and all that in there yet. I want to put that in there so that my stomach starts to work on those first, and then slowly that sugar drips in. And now I have a nice slow blood sugar rise. I have sustainable energy for the rest of the day. I do not have cravings. I will get 2.5, 3, 4 hours in between eating another meal or a snack. And my meal was balanced. It was highly nutritious. It had everything I needed in it, right? And my hunger and fullness cues will be very accurate. That's what balance is, right? All of this information that you give your body, the blood sugar stability, the whole foods, this is information for your body. If your blood sugar is high, it's inevitably going to be low, which will make you feel tired. And when it's high, you also feel tired. So you never actually feel stable, Mabel. You don't actually feel energized. In Mindfully Well, we balance blood sugar with custom macronutrients. I create that for you, right? So you don't have to worry about knowing exactly what it is, right? That's why you would have a coach in Mindfully Well. And it's also based on your history and your dieting history. And you may be someone with lots of instability, and our first mission would be to get that blood sugar stable so that you don't have to walk around with hunger cues that are incorrect. So you don't have to feel hungry when you actually need food, and not just because your body is looking for its next sugar high. Your hunger and fullness cues are blinded by sugar. It's why you're chronically over and then under eating. And you also want to make sure that you're moving your body so that the carbohydrates you eat go straight to your muscle where you need them so your muscles can grow. You can be stronger, you can move well, you can improve your metabolism instead of continuing to make it weaker. And this is health, you guys. This is health. And it's a natural side effect is going to be weight loss. You actually don't have to diet in order to lose weight. You have to change your lifestyle to support your health and create an environment that allows your body to feel safe in order to lose weight. I'm going to say that again because you need to hear this. Your body will lose weight as a result of health. Weight loss doesn't equal health. Health equals sustainable weight loss that comes off easily, right? You need to establish health first. Let's talk quickly about your sleep, your meal timing, and how this plays into everything, because I'm also a big promoter or talk a lot about circadian rhythm and the timing of your meals and your sleep. Because if you're not doing those things, your body doesn't feel safe to lose weight. We have to live within the rhythm of the sun, of the moon, of sleeping well. The timing of your meals throughout your day plays a very important role on cortisol. Cortisol is known as your stress hormone. We don't look at it as bad, but rather it's neutral. We have to have it, but we want to have it in the right amounts at the right times of day so that it can support our sleep and then it can support our metabolism, which I'm going to talk for a minute about y'all's favorite topic, which is fasting. Listen, if you're fasting either unintentionally or intentionally, which means unintentionally, you wake up, you're not tired, you wait and you wait and you wait and you eat lunch, and then you're starving the rest of the day, and then you overeat and overconsume your foods in the evenings, and then you wake up and you do it all over again. I'm talking to you. And you're tired and you're stressed out when you're unable to lose weight. Fasting is not helping you, it is hurting you. Some fasting is okay. Some fasting is good. We do want to have some digestive rest for our stomach when we sleep, but it's fasting all morning until lunchtime and then running on caffeine and then eating everything in sight from 12 to 8 p.m. And that's hurting you. Your body needs cortisol to digest your food and to move nutrients where they need to be. When you calorie load all of your food into the last part of the day, you're actually using a lot of cortisol. And cortisol and melatonin, they're yin-yang hormones. And this will lead to poor sleep patterns. So if your cortisol is up because you're eating into the evening hours, sorry, now my dog wants. So if your cortisol is up because you're eating into the evening hours, and melatonin is its yin yang hormone, what do you think that's going to do? It's going to push down your melatonin. It's going to increase your cortisol. You're not going to sleep very well. When you're not sleeping, you're not able to lose weight and keep it off. Okay. And then vice versa in the morning. Now you're not eating when you should be eating, and your cortisol is low and your melatonin is high and you feel exhausted, right? Now it makes sense to you. right? So that's why the meal timing is so important for you. So do yourself a huge favor and please start eating breakfast, right? I have smoothies out there everywhere. I have smoothie guides, smoothie, winter smoothie, summer smoothie, whatever it is. Have a smoothie in the morning. That's the best way to start your morning because you're getting your starchy carbohydrates that are mixed in with your protein, your fat, and your veggies. And boom, you already have like 2 servings of veggies in for the day. That's the easiest and most simple way to get your breakfast in the morning, because I know that many of your appetites are not high in the morning. And I know that this is a really hard thing for you when you don't have an appetite and I'm telling you to eat anyway. And it goes against what we've always been taught, right? Don't eat if you're not hungry. However, you need to move things around and it's going to require some tough love for you, some tough love approach to start eating in the morning and start tapering off later on in the day. Okay. Finish eating 3 hours before bed. And if you insist on fasting, then do it at night and not in the morning. Usually when I throw that one out there, people decide fasting is not that important. And I would tend to agree. I think fasting has a time and a place, and every so often I will have a client fast, but only when she's been with me for a long time. And I know that her metabolism can tolerate it. I know that her stress levels can tolerate it. I know that she has a resilient body. And I know that many of you on this call today are not in that place right now. So fasting is not your answer. Okay. Your cortisol and your circadian rhythm are going to play into your energy access and creation, and they are going to create more fatigue in a way to conserve when you're not using them to where they need to be used, right? When you don't have enough cortisol at the right times of day. What also goes into your hormonal balance and your cortisol rhythm is your blood sugar stability. It's a very common reason why you're tired and you're not able to lose weight. And last but not least, we're going to talk about your stress, which brings me to, we're going to start wrapping up today's topic. I'm going to gear you up for tomorrow's topic. And it's something I want you to remember throughout this week today, because this week today, this week together, there we go. Stress will always make your body not feel safe. It will always downregulate things. And your body wasn't made to diet at all. And your body just wants to be alive. So it's going to use all of its protective tools to do that. So when we are chronically stressed, we are telling our body that it's not safe, right? It doesn't actually matter what the stressor is. It's just the perception that you feel stressed. And a body that doesn't feel safe is not going to lose weight. It will either gain weight or it holds on to what it has, because body fat is one of the most precious resources that your body has. And then what ends up happening is that you end up in weight loss resistance because your body is refusing to budge. It's like a 3-year-old in the grocery store who's not getting a bag of Skittles. It is done. It's over your BS, right? Think about this example. If you're on a deserted island and you have 1 gallon of water, how are you going to use that water? You're going to use it very meticulously, right? You're going to try and create more water with the water you have. You'll reuse your water container with rainwater. You'll ration your water. You won't be sharing it with the birds and the wild animals out there, right? You'll do anything to save that water. And that's exactly what your body does when you diet over and over and when you're chronically stressed. You've been lied to on how you lose weight and keep it off. And it's time to see that there is a better way. I encourage you to learn this for you. Learn this for your daughter. Learn this for her daughter and the generations to come. Because we don't need to fix our bodies, because there's nothing wrong with our bodies. They're just responding to the environment that you put them in. What we need to do is redirect our minds, because weight loss does not equal health. I'll repeat that over and over again until I die and throughout the next 3 weeks. Weight loss does not equal health. However, a healthy woman loses weight easily, without force, without desperation, and without hatred for her body. All right, my friends, that is today's call. Let me see what's more willing to. Well, I do have 5 minutes, 8 minutes for questions, which I'm going to stay on for any questions that you guys have. You put them in there. And then, so tomorrow we're going to be doing a deep dive into stress and hormones. Tomorrow's call, I'll warn you, I might go over a little bit. Today's call, I did not have the flexibility to go over. I might tomorrow. If you have to jump off tomorrow, that's no problem, but I want to make sure and give you all the information that you need when it comes to stress and hormonal balance. And tomorrow's call will start right at 12 o'clock. Again, there's replays. You'll see the replay from today's email. Make sure and reply back to me on what you actually want and what your standards are to achieve it and what they aren't. And I will see you back here tomorrow. I don't see any questions. So I'm going to assume that I explained everything beautifully and you don't need anything. Okay. Will I go over some good food to eat? So, I don't love to label foods good and bad. Okay. And I know that that probably wasn't what you were intending to answer, but we want to like move away from deeming things to be one thing or the other. The reason that I encourage you to do this is because I know you all are probably recovering and trying to understand your perfectionism tendencies. And when you think things must be perfect in order to achieve it, what you end up doing is holding yourself to a standard that it must be done in an exact way, or it's not worth doing at all. Okay, so we want to move away from good foods and bad foods. We want to move away from cheating. We want to move away from black and white things. What we actually want to do, and this is something I teach in Mindfully Well, and also Mindfully Well will open for you guys with the replay today. So you can sign up today and that will be open for you. Just a tangent anyway. So what we want is we don't want the white and we don't want the black. What we want is we want to live in the gray. And it's very hard for our minds to understand because it loves polarizing things, right? It loves to know yes, it loves to know no, give me certainty. But what we need to do is teach our minds that it's okay for us to live in between there in shades of gray. And because that's really where our answer lies. That's where our sustainable weight loss lies, is in the gray, right? And it's becoming the woman who can live in the gray and ebb and flow in the gray. So good food to eat is just whole food. Shop that perimeter. Fruits, vegetables, chicken, beef, bison, turkey. What else? Vegetables. All the vegetables, all the fruits, potatoes. I love potatoes. We eat those. I try to stay away from gluten containing foods, and that's just because I'm sensitive to them. So we mostly just eat potatoes around here. We eat legumes around here. My family will eat gluten, but I don't eat a ton of gluten. And we just stick to mostly whole foods, right? So that's what we do. And in Mindfully Well, I create a meal prep menu for you each week that has a whole food menu, teaches you exactly how to prepare those foods ahead of time and have them ready to go during the week, because we know that a prepared mind, using your prefrontal cortex mind, the adult portion of your mind that makes wonderful decisions, versus your reactive mind has gotten to where you are today. We need to use that part of our mind, which entails us preparing our foods ahead of time, right? We live in a day and age when we're busy, we're on the go. We have our food has to be the same way. Our food has to be ready to go. And so we do that with a meal prep menu. If you eat a banana, what should you have with it? So I would have like a nut butter. I'd have a protein shake. I'd make it into a smoothie. I had a banana this morning with protein powder, peanut butter, spinach, and flaxseed, right? So I had 2 handfuls of spinach. I got my veggies. I got flaxseed in there for some more fiber. I have my banana for my starchy carb. I have my fat from my peanut butter, and I have my protein powder. So, and that will get me at least 2-3 hours before I'm feeling hungry or need anything after that. Okay, I think that's the questions. Alrighty, my friends, if you have any questions, you can always email me, reply back to your Zoom login email, and that will get you right where you need to be. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow at 12. Bye.